guys, it's your friends Lauren and Maddie, and welcome back to Call Your Friends. This is our second episode of our new podcast, but to be completely honest, this is actually like the fourth time that we've recorded this episode. Lauren, can you explain the series of events that have led us up to this moment of recording for the literally what feels like the millionth time?
Yeah, this is definitely not our first attempt. The first time we tried to record this on Sunday, we were recording, everything was going well, and then Maddie's camera died. So we took a break to plug it in, and then when we came back to record, we were like, you know what, let's just start from the beginning, fresh slate. And then we were recording a second time. I would say that things were going well, but Maddie's camera died about 3 more times while we were recording, so we had to keep pausing it. And then near the end of that recording, my camera died and her camera died, so then they were both dead. And then we were like trying to keep our camera on long enough to record an outro. It was a bit of a disaster, but anyway, we finally got it finished. And then I went to import my audio to send it over to Maddie so she could edit it. And I discovered that my audio was in fact muted. So there was no audio to edit. So here we are, recording for a third time on Wednesday night. And if I sound a bit sick right now, it's because I unfortunately have COVID at the moment. So not only is it the third time we're recording, but I'm also not feeling great. I have a bit of a cough.
Yeah, the cherry on top of that terrible situation was that Sunday night Lauren was sick. You were sick, I was hungover, and we recorded for like 4 hours and couldn't even use the episode. And then on Monday, Lauren tested positive for COVID. Our dad also has COVID. So it's just a crazy situation, but I feel like you guys have been through the worst of it. It seems like you're both on the mend, which is a good thing to hear. And I can't believe that Mom didn't get it because she's been with you guys the whole time.
I know. Yeah, I wasn't feeling great on Monday. I had like every possible symptom, it felt like. I don't know. My throat wasn't feeling great, and I had a cough. I don't know if I had a fever, but I was really hot. I had a headache. I was really just going through it. And then Monday night-ish, someone from Dad's work dropped off tests, and then Mom went and got them from like the end of the driveway for us. And I took one, and I tested positive. And then Dad took one. He also tested positive. But he had been sick like a few days before me, so it was kind of weird. He actually like didn't end up testing positive when he was the sickest, but then he and I both tested positive on Monday. And Mom has been okay so far. She took another rapid test today and is still negative, but obviously we're sick, so she's been staying here with us and taking care of us.
I feel like it has to be coming for her. Unfortunately to say, I don't know, it depends. I think it's weird how it affects different people. Like I was sick in December and I'm pretty sure I had COVID because it was all the same symptoms that you guys had last week, but nobody else got sick. So who knows? But hoping for the best. I feel like luckily everyone's vaccinated and I feel like Omicron seems to be more mild than the other variants. So I guess you guys got lucky, you could say, in that sense, but still hoping for the best.
Yeah, the symptoms have been pretty mild, but we're both boosted, so I think that definitely helped. But I will say it is definitely very infectious, like everyone says, because when I tell you most of my grade has COVID right now, I'm not kidding. Like, in most of my classes, there are about 2 or 3 people in person, and the rest of us are watching from the Zoom, or some people like aren't feeling well, so they don't join the Zoom at all, but the classes are so small, and the people who are in person have already had it. So it is really making its way through our grade.
I feel like they knew that was going to happen, kind of, especially because you all live so close together. Like it's a boarding school, so your whole grade lives in close quarters. So if something's going to go around, unfortunately, I feel like it's pretty easy to spread, especially with something as contagious as COVID. So felt like it was bound to happen, and luckily you guys are young and vaccinated and all that. So hoping that everyone feels better soon. Just crazy, but we are bound to get it one of these days. I feel like everyone I know has had COVID, and I still technically haven't, so I don't know.
I know. I'm honestly surprised that after 2 years we finally got it. I feel like it seems like we're all coming out of the pandemic, and I just got COVID 2 years after it started. So, I mean, it happens. Thankfully, I'm happy to be okay and me and my dad are both feeling well, so that is very lucky. But
Glad
yeah,
to hear.
it just seems like we almost made it out.
Almost, but not quite. You know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
At least you're feeling okay. Well, I'm trying to remember what we talked about in our last episode because it's been a few days. Some things have been going on. Why don't we start off with giving some life updates, basically explaining what we've been doing for the past few weeks because we actually recorded our first episode that went up last Friday before Valentine's Day weekend because I was traveling. So it's been like 3 weeks. So let's give an update on what's been going on in each of our lives. I know we've had a few things happen the past few weeks. Why don't you start us off?
I think mine is going to be less eventful than yours, but I can give a brief little update and then you can take it away. Honestly, for most of it, I was just at school. It's funny because I have my notes from the episode that we recorded on Sunday, and one of them is that there was a COVID outbreak at my school, but that only really got worse, so I guess that one's still true. I also got my hair cut. For everyone who's watching on YouTube, you can probably see, but I basically went to the hairdresser, and I did show her a TikTok, and I was like, this is kind of what I'm going for, but the TikTok isn't exactly what I ended up with. Like,
Oh, no.
the girl in the TikTok's hair was much longer, and it was basically just a girl with long layers, and I really liked how it looked, so I showed it to the hairdresser, and she kind of put her own little spin on it, but I don't mind. I kind of told her she could do whatever, so this is what I ended up with. It's pretty short, but my hair grows pretty quickly, so I think it'll be okay.
It's not that short.
I also got my... it feels really short, because my hair was pretty long before.
Yeah.
It's a big change.
It does grow quickly because it's healthy. You only dyed it that one time, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But, yeah, and then I got my thirds pierced on the weekend, too. So
Finally.
that's pretty exciting. I know. I wanted to get them pierced for so long, but when I was trying to do it when we were in LA, it's really, really hard to find somewhere that will pierce your ears if you're under 18, even if a parent goes with you.
Really?
Which is surprising, because in Canada it's 16, and she didn't even ask me for my ID or anything. She just kind of took my word for it.
Did Mom
yeah.
have to go with you?
Mom was there with me when I booked the appointment, but then she was in Lululemon when I was actually getting them pierced.
Oh.
So, yeah, they didn't seem to care too much. Maybe I look old.
I
don't think that's
I
it.
don't think so. Yeah, I don't think that's the case. But that's exciting.
Could be, Maddie.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And the only other little update that I have on my list is that I got accepted into one of the universities I applied to. I got into Ivy, which, if you're from Canada, you might know it, but it's Western, the school that Maddie went to, their business program. And I want to go to school for business, and it's one of the best business programs in Canada. So that is very exciting. And it's one of my first acceptances. So I feel like every time I get an email, it's still like so exciting. But I'm going to be hearing back from a lot of schools in the next month-ish.
Wow, that's super exciting. I've actually seen a lot of college acceptance rejection TikToks. I saw a funny compilation of like all this whole friend group's rejections, and they were all crying, which is so sad, but like it was kind of funny because they edited them all together. So it was just like terrible, obviously. But no, Western Ivy is an amazing program. I personally did not get into Ivy, so good job, Lauren, I guess. It's because I applied after second year, okay?
Yeah. Okay, in Maddie's defense, it is a lot easier to get in from high school, but then Ivy's like a program like that you start in third year of university. So you have to, there's a bunch of conditions, like you have to keep an 80 average or something for your first 2 years, I think. It's hard.
Thank you. Yeah, you need an 80 average, which I actually did have, and then you need to get a 70 in accounting. And that was my downfall because if you know me, you just know that I'm terrible at math, and I know accounting isn't really math, but to me, it's not in English, so it's like numbers, not my thing.
For a girl who doesn't know the difference between domain and range, it's a hard subject.
I was going to tell a story, but I don't think that I should, and it was just another example. When I did this thing, which was really stupid, I thought this is because I don't know domain and range. It's like the same sort of idea.
Let's hear it.
And I can't share it, I don't think.
Okay, well, you tell me later.
Okay, yeah, I'll tell you later because I feel like it's, just not good to share. But anyways, I do not know domain and range. I did not get a 70 in accounting, and I did not get into Ivy. So that's my personal story.
well, you had a different path. That's okay.
You win some, you lose some. It's fine. I just want to see if you get into Harvard.
God, yeah, I kind of applied to Harvard as a joke. Not like as a joke, because obviously it would be awesome to go there, but more of like if I'm gonna apply to a bunch of difficult to get into universities, I might as well apply to Harvard. Like it's one more application, and it would be very cool to go there. And even if I didn't go there, like I would love to get in. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. You know?
If you get in, are you going to go for sure?
Not 100%. I mean, I don't know what next year will look like for me, and they also don't have a business program for undergrad students.
Right.
So I would kind of have to see, like, I don't want to be going to a university just because it is like a prestigious school, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like going
So
to
we'll see.
Harvard, though, for anything is good, but I don't know. That just
True.
would be like my common sense opinion.
I'm sure a degree from Harvard does look great, but I also want to make sure I'm studying something that I'm interested in, or else the next 4 years would just not be fun for me. So we'll see.
Well, those are great updates. I'm happy to hear. Can't wait for the I got accepted to whatever podcast episode. That'll be exciting. You can do some TikToks too, maybe. That would be fun.
Yeah, hopefully it won't be a I got rejected from episode.
Well, that would be fun too. If it was
I
like,
think it might be a bit of both.
yeah, maybe you could do I got rejected from whatever, say Harvard. We're not going to manifest
Yeah.
that, but as the
Yeah,
title,
Maddie, don't put that out into the universe.
no, I didn't. As the title, and then we can go through all of your acceptances and maybe rejections if you get any in the podcast
Ooh.
episode.
Okay, maybe we will do that. That'll be
Super
good.
fun. Look forward to that, guys. A few more updates, I think, for us. Number one, we're going to Hawaii. Some of you guessed that, and I replied to your comment on the Instagram, so I'm sure people know that we're going to Hawaii. But that's in like 2 weeks, which is just crazy. Less than 2 weeks. Can you believe it?
Oh my gosh.
It's
I
crazy.
feel like time has gone by so quickly.
It really has. Like, it feels like it was just Christmas break, and then now it's your March break, and then it's going to be summer. Does it not feel like last summer just ended?
It really does. I can't believe I'm graduating in a few months.
I know.
That's so weird to me.
I know, it's crazy. But Hawaii will be so fun. We're super excited for that. We haven't been to Hawaii since I was in grade 12, I think. So for your final March break and for my final March break, both spent in Hawaii.
Aww.
So nice.
Very cute.
So nice. And then other than that, what did I do the last few weeks? I went to a Justin Bieber concert. Some of you may have seen that on my TikTok. I've been trying to do more
I did.
TikToks recently. You said I was an active
She's been on her
queen.
game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did.
Yes. Well, I've been trying because I feel like Instagram is dead. And that's what people have been saying on TikTok. And I feel like you've been saying that for a while. And now I'm finally realizing that it's true. I feel like Instagram is kind of dead. So TikTok is where it's at.
I know. I feel like it's funny how quickly things change. Like, I remember when Musical.ly died and then no one was using the app and everyone was on Instagram, and I don't know, for a long time I think Instagram was like the place to upload your content. But TikTok has definitely become the platform to use in the past few months and few years, I guess. Like since the beginning of the pandemic, pretty much.
Yeah. And I guess since Emma Chamberlain's quitting YouTube, that YouTube is also dead. I'm kind of getting that vibe. Like, people are preferring short form video content over long form video content. But I did see that TikTok introduced a 10-minute video feature, so it'll kind of make YouTube irrelevant. Unless people are watching like
Yeah.
30, 40-minute videos, but I don't know if there's still like a need for that or a desire. What do you think as the expert YouTuber?
I mean, I don't really watch YouTube anymore, which is why it's difficult for me to upload on it, because I feel like, well, first of all, I'm not even thinking of it because I'm not watching other people's videos. But then also I'm like, is anyone watching other people's videos? Because I feel like you only really know what's going on in your life. Like, if it's not something that's important to you in your everyday life, then like you just kind of assume that it isn't important to other people too, which obviously like isn't always true. But I feel like most of my friends don't really watch YouTube anymore, and TikTok's kind of the platform. So I think that is really where we should be focusing our attention. And I wouldn't be surprised if people didn't really use YouTube anymore. I feel like it's kind of been fading out for the past little while.
Mm-hmm. Well, I listened to Emma Chamberlain's podcast about YouTube when she said that she basically is quitting. Well, she said she's taking a break and she doesn't know how long it's going to be for. So all the people who are like clickbaity on TikTok are like, Emma Chamberlain quit YouTube. And we've seen other big TikTokers, like, remember when you guys loved the Dolan twins? Like, they're not in doing social media at all anymore. So things are just changing, I guess. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I feel like if you want to work in this space, you really have to be like keeping up to date with everything because it all changes so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so true. Do you think that, I mean, would be a hard thing for you to answer, but do you think that you're going to continue to like make TikToks and post on social media when you go to university? Are you going to go to university? Are you going to take a gap year? Like, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I feel like, okay, for the first, or I guess the second question about taking a gap year or going to university, I think it depends on what schools I get into. If I don't get into somewhere that I'm really excited about, then maybe, or somewhere that has a program that really like would be valuable to me, because obviously I want to study business, but I think that there is a lot to learn just by doing what I've been doing for the past few years. And I think if I dedicated all of my time to learning about business, which I could do after graduating from high school, then I think I could really learn a lot. But also I think that going to university might teach me a different aspect of business and help me learn in a different way. Mm-hmm. But of course that depends on the program and the school. So I think I'll have to make a decision very, very soon, but I'll let you all know. And then for the first part of your question about whether I want to continue doing social media in university, I think it depends. And like you said, if people are more interested in watching TikTok content and maybe Instagram, like pictures and videos that don't take long to make, then I think it will be very manageable for me to do in university. And if I end up taking a gap year next year, then I'll definitely keep doing it because I'll have so much time on my hands and it'll be my primary focus. So why wouldn't I?
Yeah, it's so crazy how if you, like, you've been doing this for so long, so I guess you don't, not that you don't realize, but like the significance of having a platform is less to you, I guess. Like that's the kind of the vibe that I get. For example, one of my friends who I've met recently started TikTok in 2020 and has recently got, say, a couple million followers on TikTok. And that has completely changed the trajectory of her life because before she thought that she was just going to like go to school, get a job. But now she's like, oh, I have this platform. Like there's so many other opportunities that have opened up for me. But that's just because like she had a plan and then things happened really quickly and then her life completely changed. But when you've had the platform for so long, like it's been part of your path, part of your journey already. So I feel like you're not like banking on that. It's not your career path necessarily. Just interesting how many people have like had this new career opportunity brought to them in the past like 2 years.
Yeah, I think also because I've grown up with the platform and I've never had it be like my primary focus because I've always been in school and that has always been my priority. And then posting on social media has always been like secondary to me because I don't know, it's like school's so important to me and to our parents. So I think that like they've really stressed making sure that I'm like putting a lot of time into school. So it's always just kind of been like something that I did for fun on the side, and I've never really let it change the trajectory of my life, though I'm sure it has. Like we obviously wouldn't have moved to LA and I wouldn't be doing a lot of the stuff that I am right now. I wouldn't be here recording this podcast if it weren't for social media.
That's
so
true.
Obviously it has affected my life, but I would say that it hasn't changed my lifestyle in the way that it has other people.
And I think you were a kid. So like when you're an adult and you have to get a job, having a platform, you're like, this is awesome. Like I don't have to go and get an office job working for someone else because I have this. I have like 3 or 4 million followers and that could be a job at least for now. Like I think if you had gotten the followers that you have when you were like 22, 23, like just finishing college, obviously you'd be thinking about it completely differently. But it's just interesting how I think COVID created that for so many people who like were just on a normal path before. And it's always interesting talking to people about it who are like new to the space, I guess.
For sure. I mean, it's definitely a very different perspective, so it's always interesting to hear.
All right. So I will give you my life updates at the end of the episode, I think, because this kind of leads us into what we want to talk about today, which is independence. I feel like this is the perfect segue to talk about independence, and especially independence that you can get from moving away from home, which is something that I think, I don't know if this happens in most countries, but in North America, a lot of people who go to university will end up spending more time away from home, whether they move out or not. I feel like it's just like a transition point in your life when you're like 18. Are you 18 when you go to school?
Yeah, about
17?
Some people are 18.
18. Yeah, which is actually really young if you think about it, but there is a turning point where you mature and you gain independence because you're graduating from high school usually. Maybe you're getting a job or going to school after that, but the next phase in your life, I think you gain independence when you enter that phase because things change regardless of what you do. So, do you think that going to university or like moving away from home is important for your independence? And then maybe I can explain how I feel because I did move away from home in that time.
I think part of the reason that I want to go to university is because I know that if I don't, I'll end up like staying in our family home probably. I mean, like I could get an apartment, but it like when our parents are allowing us to continue living with them, and otherwise I would be paying rent to live in an apartment. It's like the easy thing to do is to continue living with our family. So I think that part of the reason that I do want to go to university is because it would kind of force me to live alone or with a roommate and start doing things on my own that will help me build that independence. Like even little things like learning how to, I don't know, what do you do when you live alone? Like people do their own laundry and their own dishes and pay their own bills. And I do know how to do some of that. Like I would say now going to boarding school, I do my own laundry. I know how to do the dishes, you know, some of that stuff. But I don't know how to pay my own bills. That's something that I would definitely have to, that is something that I would definitely have to learn. And I don't know, I think that is part of why I want to go to university. So although I don't think you need to go to university to gain independence, it definitely helps you gain it.
Mm-hmm. No, you definitely don't need to move out or go to university or anything. And like you're saying, you could also move out even if you didn't go to university. I think university just like forces you sometimes to move out if you're moving away from home. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I definitely did learn a lot when I moved out, like grocery shopping, for example. You have to grocery shop. You have to make sure that you literally have groceries in your fridge, whereas in our family, usually our mom will go grocery shopping, or me now. I do a lot of the shopping. But before, when I was in high school, I wasn't like going to the grocery store to stock up the fridge. But when I moved out, of course I had to. I learned how to cook, kind of. Not very good at it, but I had to learn how to make dinner for myself every night. And then paying bills is another one. I had a hydro bill, an electricity bill. What else? I don't know, all those things. But the thing is, Lauren, you are already pretty responsible, I would say. So I don't think that you like couldn't do those things or like you need to move out so that you become more responsible, because I feel like you are already responsible. You're maybe like wise beyond your years, you could say.
I mean, yeah, I think like ever since I was little, people would say that. I don't know. I think just because I'm the youngest of four, I'm kind of expected to be mature and like, I don't know. Well, I guess it kind of goes both ways because because I'm the youngest, I'm probably not as independent as you were at my age. But also, I don't know. I think when everyone else around you is mature, you mature faster. So
yeah, like we had to figure out a lot of things for ourselves because mom and dad obviously had little kids who they were watching and taking care of all the time. And I remember this actually when Darian and I were must have been like how old was I when you were born? 8?
Somewhere around
9?
there.
So I was 8 and she was 6, and we would make breakfast for each other. I think I made breakfast for her, but we weren't allowed to use the toaster, so we ate like cold toast, like cold bread, I guess. It's not toast. Because mom was like so tired from being up all night with you or John, I forget who it was. But I felt so mature and like responsible and independent at that time, but I was obviously so young. But it's just funny, like that was completely normal for us. So
See, I never had those responsibilities, but I do think that even like having family dinner together and having mature conversations every night taught me a lot and helped me grow up quickly. And I also think that working in the social media space and working in like the acting space as well, when you're always working with adults, I think that also helped me grow up and mature very quickly. So I don't know. I think we both gained independence in different ways.
yeah, for sure. I feel like you're usually surrounded by adults. Like when you and John lived in LA too, like you did have friends, of course, but like you went to different schools. You didn't have like a big group of friends when you were little kids, where I think you guys spent most of your time with adults, with your family, like with people at work. So you just had a different upbringing, which I think it's totally true. Like we're both independent and responsible now, but I think the way that we got here was different. And you're still the baby in some ways because you're the youngest, but in other ways it really made you mature faster, I think, than your friends. That would be my my what's it called, objective perspective, is that you can like talk to my friends as well. Like you can relate to my friends on a different level, even though we're so much older than you, because you've just been around those type of people that are so much older than you for your whole life.
And I think even some of the kids that we were around were mature for their age as well. Like when we went to the entertainment school in LA, all of those kids had basically had a job for a few years, even though they were so young. And so they were wise beyond their years, I guess you could say. And in grade 8 and 9, I went to a sports school, and all of those kids had been like training basically to become really great athletes for their whole life. And so I think there was a lot of pressure on them to take what they were doing seriously as well. So we've kind of just always been surrounded by people like that.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting upbringing, you could say. Not like most people, but I think very positive, and there was a lot of great takeaways from the experiences that you guys had from a young age. The last thing I want to talk about before we end up this episode, because I know we're already at 30 minutes, but is like being independent romantically, or like being not in a relationship, I guess you could say, because that's something that I think we all kind of have, like especially the girls in our family. We're just like, we don't need anyone because we are like so fulfilled and whatever on our own. That's kind of like the vibe that I get from the girls in our family, for sure.
I would agree. I would say that we aren't really looking for someone to complete us, I guess you could say. Like, I think that we are all pretty complete on our own. And if we happen to find someone who, you know, is a great addition, sure, we'll consider it. But I think that we are all very focused on ourselves and our work, and we have big goals. And so I don't know, like we haven't really been looking for relationships.
Yeah, I think when you're just so fulfilled in every area of your life, it's less like of a priority on your mind. Like, oh, I need to find a boyfriend to like spend my time with, because you're like, I'm booked and I'm busy.
No time.
I mean, both things are not necessarily bad. And I don't think that having a boyfriend means that you're not fulfilled at all. I've had boyfriends in the past. But it's just not ever a priority, I guess. And I feel like that does come from our parents as well. Like, especially mom. She's always like, oh, you don't need a man.
So
like,
true.
all that stuff.
Our mom is always about being an independent woman. So I think that has definitely rubbed off on us.
Yes. She told us at Christmas, she's like, if I wasn't married, I would have worked for the United Nations. I'm like, oh my gosh. Remember when she was going off about the
how
UN?
could I forget? We were like, Mom, you could still work for the United Nations. She's like, it's not the same.
Yeah. We were like, okay. But she definitely preaches independence to us, and like the power of being your own. She would say like
Yeah.
a boss lady. Oh God, all the stuff that she says. But I think that's definitely where we get it from, and we are all of the same mindset. Of course, as you get older, I think things change. Like if you want to have a family, then you will have to start looking eventually. So I'm trying to put myself out there more. But up until now, I've been like working on my business. I was in school. Like I think we were kind of the same in that way, like focused on the thing in front of us and not like seeking. I mean, I feel like sometimes if you're like talking to guys, you'd be like, it would be maybe because you want like attention. And I just like, maybe when I was younger, I did participate in that, but now I just like don't care anymore.
Yeah. I
don't
also
know.
feel like some people are like, oh, I really want a boyfriend. And I'm like, I've never been like, wow, I really want a boyfriend. But like, if you meet someone who seems like a good person, then you might be like, oh, maybe I would date them, you know? But it's never like, I want to date someone,
100%.
and so I'm going to go out and try and find someone to date. Like, that's never been my mentality, I guess. And I think that is just because of everything you said. Like, I don't know, it's never really been a priority for us.
I know. And I'm trying to think right now why that is. But like, why are we like the type of girls who aren't like, oh, I really want a boyfriend, when I think that that's like the most common thing is people are like, oh, I want someone to share my life with. And I get that. Like, especially as you get older, people are like, oh, I want someone to like, I don't know. I'm like 25. So a lot of my friends are in relationships and they want someone to like do things with, to travel with, go for dinners with. So I'll have to get back to you on that. Like how we like just are not focused on that at all, but it's true.
I think
It's
it
really
might have
true.
to do with your friends and also like your mindset about it, because I think if you're thinking about like wanting to go out for dinner with someone or wanting to go on vacation with someone, immediately your mind goes to your friends. Like you wouldn't be like, oh, I want a guy to do those things with. You'd just be like, oh, let me ask Abby and Sid. You know?
I know. Now Abby's gonna
Oh
be
my
a married
gosh.
woman, so she's not gonna be able
Are
to
you
go
gonna
on my
have to
trips
invite
with me.
Roland
But
and Ralph, the dog?
maybe it's fine. We like Rolls, we like Ralph. They can come. But I think having a mindset where you're not like searching for someone at all times is great, because it allows you to approach relationships from a place where you're not settling. Like I think that being in a relationship is sometimes like glamorized or like romanticized. It is
True.
romanticized. But I'm like, are these people happy? Like being in a relationship that's not great isn't necessarily better than
No,
being
I don't
single.
think so at all.
Did I send you the podcast episode about being single in your 20s?
You might have, but I don't think I listened to it.
Lauren, it's so good. I'm going to send it to you again. And for you guys listening, it's called, her podcast is called Note to Self, and her name is Peyton Sarton. And it's a really good episode. We can link it on our story or something, but it's a super interesting and informative listen. And she's all about being single. She actually has a boyfriend now, but she was single for like 26 years, she said. And she's like, I've never been happier. I love being single. So it's just like hyper independence. But then I guess also there's always an extreme where like you're too independent, and maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe there's some reason for that. But we can dive into that on another
I would
episode.
say we can just touch on this really quickly. I will say that I think yes, we in this family are all about being single, and like if you meet the right person, fine, but not a priority. But then I think that independence also carries over into our friendships, because we are not the type of people to share everything with our friends. And I think although we have friends, we're still like independent in those friendships. And I think sometimes our friends are like, oh, you should share more with us. But that's just like not the way we are.
Totally. Yeah. And it all circles back to social media, because we're also like not sharers. Like it's a very odd thing. Maybe that comes from just being super independent, where like you don't share with people in your life. You don't share with friends. Definitely don't share with social media. Like maybe that's all related. Wow. Breakthrough. That was a
I
breakthrough.
mean, I think it would be hard to argue that it's not related. And even in our family, I think like there are a lot of things we don't talk about. Like some people's families talk about everything. And I would say that although we're very close, we know like everything that's going on in each other's lives, it seems like the day-to-day stuff. I think that there's a lot of things we don't talk about. And that like tendency to just keep to ourselves carries over into the other aspects of our life, like our friendships, relationships, and social media. It's all connected.
Yep, you're not wrong. I mean, this is like a therapy session right now, so I'm going to have to go home or go back and think about this one. But very interesting, great insights. It is getting dark here. I don't know if, hopefully it's not too dark on the camera. But I know that I have some updates. Maybe I'll save them for next week because I don't want the video to be ruined by the darkness. And I will tell you guys about my trip to Colorado and upcoming travels that we have on next week's episode.
She's just keeping us on the edge of our seat.
It's called a cliffhanger. Okay. Have you heard of it?
Look it up.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. I'm glad we finally got it out. Praying that Lauren's track has audio this time.
Yeah.
Is that what it's
you
called?
and me
audio?
both.
Yeah. My fingers are crossed, hoping for the best. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Bye.